Hello, J Street supporters. I'm Jeremyben-ami, and I'm the executive director of JStreetPAC, and I'm really excited to be here in New York City at an event with Dennis Shulman, who's running for Congress in New Jersey, which is right across the river from us here, in a very, very tight race against Scott Garrett, who is a President Bush rubber stamp when it comes to foreign policy and issues related to Israel and the Middle East. We're just in the middle of a wonderful event for Dennis and to benefit Dennis here in New York. He is one of our JStreetPAC endorsed candidates, and in fact he's one of our first candidates who took our endorsement. And I want to just say thank you, first of all, to Dennis, but I want to say thank you to all of you who are at home watching this tonight, and thank you to all the people here for supporting JStreetPAC. Thank you. This is such an important step in our effort to fulfill the mission for which J Street and JStreetPAC were created only 5 months ago now, and that is to change the dynamics of American politics when it comes to Israel and the Middle East. I think all the people here in the room, I think Dennis, I think the folks who are joining us at home know that for too long, the loudest and sometimes the only voices that are heard in American politics when it comes to Israel and the Middle East are those that come from the far right. They might be the neoconservatives who've driven the president's and the vice president's foreign policy over the last 7.5 years. It might be the Christian Zionist movement and John Hagee and folks like that from the far right of the Christian Zionist movement. Or it might be the right-wing folks who run some of the American Jewish organizations. But this group has claimed a monopoly on knowing what is best for Israel and what's best for the United States when it comes to the Middle East. And in the process, they've driven American foreign policy far off course, and they've put at risk very essential interests, not only of the United States, but in terms of the security of Israel and really also of the rights of the Palestinian people. But we are changing all that, and we are changing it right now through what you're doing at home and what we're doing here and what Dennis is doing in his race. For a long time, you and I have known that those loudest voices don't represent us. And there's a large number of people in the American Jewish community who understand that Israel will only be secure when it has established borders through negotiations with its neighbors, who understand that stability in the Middle East depends on resolving the Israeli-Arab conflict peacefully, who understand that only a two-state solution to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, an end to settlements, an end to the occupation, will bring true peace and, more importantly, true security to Israel and to the whole Middle East. We've never, ever before succeeded in organizing ourselves, the majority of our community, into a political voice. Never before an effective political voice. Until now, the only political game that was out there for politicians has come from backing the positions of the far right. And that's what J Street and JStreetPAC are changing. For the first time, candidates for political office are being endorsed, and they're being funded for backing sensible, mainstream, and moderate positions when it comes to the Middle East. Through our PAC, we've now endorsed nearly 40 members of Congress and congressional candidates in this election cycle. And with your help, both here and at home, we're raising hundreds of thousands of dollars to support them. This has never been done before. We are building an online network that all of you are part of. It's now 70,000 people in 5 months. It's a voice that has never before reached this proportion. Finally, we're setting up shop in Washington, D.C. And we're going to have an active lobby. And we're going to be in the halls of Congress. And we're going to be working with the new administration. And we're going to take the political leverage that all of you are helping us to create by supporting these candidates. And we're going to help to change the direction of American foreign policy and breathe a breath of fresh air into the policymaking and the political process in Washington. The fight The fight we're taking on reminds me of another legendary fight in the history of the Jewish people and of the Middle East, and that's the fight where David takes on Goliath. You may know the story. Two warring tribes decide to settle their conflict with a battle of champions, David on the one side, Goliath on the other. Goliath comes onto the field, stands head and shoulders above David. He has a sword and a big shield. David shows up on the battlefield, slighter demeanor, armed simply with a slingshot. And with one shot from that slingshot, David wins and Goliath is defeated because his courage led him to fight. When all signs pointed to his likely defeat, even a life-threatening loss, he went out onto the field, he was the victor in that battle, and he became the king of Israel. And why did he win? He won because he was right. And we are right, and we are going to win, and we are going to speak up, and we are going to defeat the voices that till now have been a Goliath in our community, because we are on the side of the forces of right. And I thank you for arming our David with this slingshot that you are all creating. We're going to win because the majority of the American Jewish community agrees with us. We're going to win because people like you at home have gathered tonight by the dozens and by the hundreds in homes across the country. But most important, we're going to win because of people like Dennis Shulman, who knows so well what it is to be David taking on Goliath. Dennis Shulman is an author, he's an educator, he's a clinical psychologist, and he's dedicated his life to serving his community. It also happens that he's an ordained rabbi, currently serving the congregation Havurat Beit Shalom in Alpine, New Jersey. And most importantly, Dennis Shulman is running for Congress against an ally and a reliable and a staunch ally of George W. Bush, Representative Scott Garrett. And I'd like to turn it over now to Dennis Shulman to tell us a little bit about himself and about his race. Thank you, Dennis, for being here.
Thank you all. Jeremy, thank you very much, all of you here, and of course all of you at home or at somebody else's home watching this event, because really I am so, people ask me, how do I keep on doing what I do? And it really is because of the inspiration of the people that I am connected with in this campaign. And of course, one of the most important groups are people who are committed to a pro-Israel, pro-peace agenda, which not only will be essential for the security in the future of Israel, but for the security in the future of America. So I want to thank you all for your involvement in J Street. I'm running for Congress because for the past 8 years, I have watched, outraged and heartbroken as our country has lost its way. We lost our way in this war in Iraq, which was not only ill-conceived, disastrously managed, based on lies, but has no exit strategy in sight. We lost our way when we failed to develop an energy policy or to take global warming seriously, both of which made us in the pockets of the petro-dictators that oppose peace in the Middle East and peace for America. I want to tell you a little about the person I'm opposing. Scott Garrett is a 3-term incumbent. And even though he represents, I put that in quotes, he represents my district, which includes Tenafly, New Jersey, Ridgewood, Paramus, and other towns in northern New Jersey. He's been rated the most conservative member of the House of Representatives. And he's able to get elected because he keeps a low profile. That is going to be over with my campaign. Scott Garrett has been out of step with my district, out of step with the state, out of step with the country. I would say out of step with the last 2 centuries or so. And I would say that it certainly is time for a change.